All right, what is going on, everybody? This is going to be part two of the Luka Doncic Anthony Davis trade, and more overall about the complex and confusing exile of Luka Doncic from Dallas. If you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment them down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. This is really gonna be about Luka and his, I guess his old team, the Mavs. We are going to talk about Anthony Davis and that stuff because there is two parts of this trade. There's actually three. It does involve the Jazz too, but nobody really cares about the Jazz. They got. I'll read the trade for you guys in case you've been living under a rock. Um, the Lakers get Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris. The Mavericks get Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and the Los Angeles Lakers 2029 first round pick, and the Jazz get Jalen Hood Schifino and a couple second round picks. Um, yeah, I reacted to this when it happened. There were a lot of questions. There were a lot of unknowns. It was shocking. Um, I came to the conclusion that it was the most the just like the best trade, like the most shocking trade of the last decade. Some people have come out and said this is the most shocking trade ever. Um, because stuff like this doesn't happen out of the blue ever. Somebody knows somebody who knows. There are whispers about things, and um, the NBA is an everyday league. There's always something going on. Normally, I'd be talking about games today. I'd be talking about this past weekend, and this Luka Doncic story has just sort of dwarfed everything that has gone on this past weekend. um, there are some other trades that have happened, that will happen. It is trade deadline week, so the regular videos probably won't be there depending on what goes on in the next couple days, but there will be content. It will be about trades, but I want to focus on this trade today. Um, and yeah, like I said, there were a lot of questions. There were a lot of things that were confusing, and over the past, I guess, um, day 48 hours, I guess, we've got some answers to those questions. We've gotten some. I have a bunch of quotes in front of me right here. I have about 22 quotes and notes and all that stuff to get through here. I have no idea how long this video is going to be, but we're going to get through all of it. I really want to dissect this from, I don't want to say a neutral fan's perspective, but I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm not a Mavs fan. I am a Luka Doncic fan. I have two of his jerseys. I have an All Star jersey. I have a rookie year Dallas Mavericks jersey. So I'm a fan, but I think I've always been sort of not a defender of Luka, but just a believer. And the first thing I want to read out right here at the top is that this is from Evan Sidery on Twitter. The Mavericks originally offered Luka Doncic in a trade for Anthony Davis a few days ago. Um, the Lakers met internally over the last 48 hours and decided they would indeed deal Davis. Dallas wanted out on Luka Doncic. Um, this is crazy for a bunch of reasons because I want to know what that call was to the Lakers GM Rob Pelinka. Um, I want to know what that call was like. He must have picked up the phone and gone, "Huh? What? You want to you want to trade us who?" Um, and he was like, "Give me 1 second," and he like put him on hold and he called like Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Lakers. He called like two other people and like we gotta talk about this now. We gotta talk about this right now. Um, just for the sake of further quotes and everything, the GM of the Mavericks is Nico Harrison. Um, just to put that out there, just so everybody knows who we're talking about in this situation. Um, And the conversation that must have been like was, so we have Anthony Davis right now. Anthony Davis is cool, and there's a quote in here we'll get to in a minute, but we can get Luka Doncic. This is a this is a deal you do 10 times out of 10 without question. I would have done this deal without consulting anybody. I would have just said hell yes, and gone to the owner and gone to whoever I had to go to. But hey, guess who I just got? I just got Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. That's what I would have done. But hey, um, let me read this one too. Dallas Mavericks did not did wait. The Dallas Mavericks did this trade not due to believing Luka Doncic wouldn't resign long term, but because they no longer viewed him as their franchise building block moving forward. Per Brian Windhorst, ESPN, um, Luka was eligible to sign a supermax deal. Um, with this trade happening, um, he is no longer eligible for a 5 year, $345 million supermax because he got traded. Now he was only eligible for a $229 million extension this next season. Um, he lost 116 million, which is crazy. These are crazy numbers we're throwing around here, but um, to say Luka Doncic, you didn't view Luka Doncic as your franchise building block when he just took you to the NBA Finals last year when he was injured and out of shape is ridiculous. Um, and to give my thoughts here, there are a bunch of comparisons you can make to this deal. One I saw was like trading prime D Wade because you thought his knees were going to be bad. Just the thought of it, even though that did happen, it's like trading him before LeBron got there in the early 2010s. It's like, oh yeah, we don't believe in D Wade. Get rid of him. Like, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous way of thinking. I mean, if Luka never gets in shape and Luka never is right, it's always his leg. It's always this. It's always that. You've won this trade, and I want to say this as well. In my opinion, sitting on this trade, thinking about this trade the next couple of years, the next couple of years, and over the last couple of days for me, um, Dallas won the trade today. They're going. I think they can go back to the Western Conference Finals. Can they go back to the finals? I have no idea, but I think they can make it back to the Western Conference Finals at least with Davis, with Clay, with Kyrie, with the auxiliary pieces that they have still, and they might even make another trade. But I think the Dallas Mavericks win this trade today. But 5, 10, whatever many years from now, I believe in Luka. I believe in LeBron James, his teammate now, taking Luka under his wing. LeBron James is one of the best conditioned, best in shape uh, guys ever in this league. And if he can if Luka can take even 50% of that, 60% of that, Luka's gonna be great. He's gonna be just fine. Um, yeah, let's dive into a little bit what the Mavs GM Nico Harrison was thinking when he did this deal. Um, Nico Harrison took several weeks to play out after the Mavericks reached out to the Lakers, and Harrison got full support from Mavs governor Patrick Dumont. For those who do not know, um, I should have said this at the top because this people are getting confused here. People are saying, why would Mark Cuban do this deal? Why would Mark Cuban do this deal? Mark Cuban, for those who do not know, is 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 a freaking billionaire. I think he's a millionaire. He's on Shark Tank. He's a very well renowned businessman, and he's been the Mavs owner, the or governor for the longest time. And just recently, this past offseason, he sold his controlling stake in the Mavericks to the Alston family. Miriam Alston and her her son-in-law Patrick Dumas is the governor. Um, so this is a new ownership group that made this decision along with Nico Harrison. Um, and some quotes from Nico Harrison's press conference, which are pretty damning of Luka. I think. We think defense wins championships. Um, Time will tell if I'm right. There's some unique things about Luka's contract that we had to pay attention to. Um, Quote, um, when he spoke to the Lakers about the Luka deal, the Mavs owner Patrick, or the Mavs governor Patrick Dumont, laughed at first when the trade was suggested to him, but fully supported the deal. Um, yeah, and just some more quotes for you from Nico. Um, the future for me is 3 to 4 years from now. The future, 10 years from now, they'll probably bury me, and looks to his right at Jason Kidd. By then, we'll bury ourselves. Those were his final words at the press conference. Um, I get what Nico is saying, and for those who do not know, Nico is he's not a I don't think he's ever been a GM, like a full time GM before. He worked at Nike, in some capacity. He was a big reason why Kobe Bryant was at Nike. He worked with Rob Pelinka. Obviously, Rob Pelinka was Kobe Bryant's agent, um, and Nico was at Nike, so they all had a good relationship. Obviously, Rob Pelinka is the GM of the the Lakers right now. He's been the GM for a long time now. Um, and I said in that video, I said I think we all owe Rob Pelinka an apology because Rob Pelinka just pulled off the deal of a lifetime. And I said it in my video then. If you want to check out my reaction to this trade immediately, right then and there, I'll put a card in the top right corner. You can just click on it; it'll take you right there. But yeah, so before I read more quotes, I get what Nico is saying here. The future for him is 3 to 4 years because the window for a coach in Jason Kidd, who's the coach of the Mavericks, and Nico, the lifespan of those guys isn't very long in this NBA landscape today in 2025, in the 20s, right? Um, I get that, right? But you don't, and I've said this on this channel before, and I'll say it again. I am a guy who says I'd rather go for it and regret it than not go for it at all. Why would you mess up a good thing? Like I said, Luka and Kyrie and company took you to the NBA finals, the pinnacle of the sport, going to the finals. Some teams haven't even been to the finals. And you draft this kid, Luka, a handful of years ago. He develops. I mean, he does come in out of shape sometimes. Luka, that is Luka. Um, but man, he took you to the finals. And to say like quote like we think defense wins championships, no duh. But like you did it with you if you did it when when you didn't have any defense and you have a center in Derek Lively who's only going to get better. I get Kyrie's a little older. Kyrie's going to be 32 next month. Anthony Davis is also going to be 32 next month. Um, and I guess Nico was thinking, well, I'm not going to be here. I, I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think Nico Harrison believed in Luka. I also don't think Nico believed in himself to be able to put a team around Luka for the long term. I don't think Nico wants this job in the long term. I think it's very cynical and very uh, selfish of Nico to say, "Well, it's my job. I'm going to make the decision. I made the deal." And he's taking full responsibility. And he took responsibility in the press conference. He said Jason Kidd didn't know, and it came out afterwards that Jason Kidd was shocked when the deal happened. Um, but for Nico to do this is very selfish, and it's almost I'm thinking of this right now. It's almost like oh, what was the Bulls GM in the '90s? Oh man, but it's a very selfish move to be like he wants to do it because he wants to win, because he thinks it's his team. Nico thinks it's his team when it was never about Nico Harrison. It was always about Luka. It was always about Luka. Luka's the reason Kyrie wanted to come to Dallas. Luka's the reason a lot of these players are on this team. And for Nico Harrison to just in the middle of the night on a Saturday, on an early Saturday morning, just kick him out the back door is crazy. It's crazy. And I want to read you a quote from Mark Cuban from a bunch of years ago. Um, this is from a bunch. I remember hearing this. I remember watching this podcast. Um, Mark Cuban on how far he would go to keep Luka Doncic on the Dallas Mavericks. This is a long time ago. This is, I think, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. If I had to choose between my wife and keeping Luka on the Mavs, catch me at my lawyer's office, prepping for a divorce. Um, so Mark Cuban, um, former controlling owner of the Mavericks, knew how special Luka was, and I think this new family that's in control of the Mavericks, Nico Harrison, who's a newer GM, um, has made a what I always call, and what other people call is new owner mistake. You want to make the big splash. You think to yourself, "Oh, we did it once. We got to the finals once. We can do it again with another set of guys." And granted, Nico has said the window is now. And I agree with that. The window is now. Like I said, Kyrie's going to be 32. Anthony Davis is going to be 32. Both do not have the best history of staying healthy. Kyrie still has that protruding disc in his back right now as I'm talking. Anthony Davis will come back probably next week or the week after. We will see. Because he has that abdominal muscle strain. But I think this organization, the Mavericks, has taken a very selfish turn into thinking they can do it without Luka. And if they do without Luka, you know what? It's going to be looked at as one of the riskiest moves ever, but it paid off. And I'm going to give them a round of applause. But right now, in this moment, looking at Anthony Davis's age, looking at Luka Doncic's age, looking at Kyrie's age, the Mavs want to win now, and they obviously thought Luka could not win now. It was going to take him a few more years, and they didn't have a few more years. And I think Nico, again, I think Nico was very selfish in the thought of him having to build around Luka for the next 10 years. Because let me tell you something, I don't think he's that good of a GM. I don't think he's that good. You know who didn't resign Jalen Brunson? You want to know who did that? Nico Harrison. That's who did that. Jalen Brunson is in New York now, and he's an all-star starter. That's 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 Nico for you, man. Um, let's I got a bunch of quotes. I get to pick one. Um, let's read some more from the Mavericks. A From Mark Stein on Twitter. Um, with Doncic, meanwhile, one phrase you keep hearing basically is that the Mavs were over him. Dallas has likewise said you have cooled on its start starters, inconsistent on hiring his own team of training experts, even though it was done at his own expense to handle the bulk of medical and nutritional needs separate from the club starting in the 2023-2024 season. So they're saying so they, they're saying Mark Stein is saying they told Luka get your own team, and Luka never did it. Which I will say, a lot of players do have their own team outside of their organization that they are with. So you want him to do extracurricular activities, which is fine, but you don't want to pay for it as a team. Crazy, crazy stuff. um, let's I do have a quote from Luca's dad here. It is very long. Let's see. I'll give you some spark notes on it. This trade, it's a hypocrisy from the Mavericks. I'm paraphrasing here. Um, I think Luka absolutely did not deserve this. He sacrificed a lot. I know Luka really respected the Dallas Mavs. He respected the whole city. Um, Played 100 games for them last season for like 40 minutes per game, consistently being double. I feel like it's really unfair from certain people in Dallas. I would agree with that. Um, I, I, and one thing I haven't touched on quite yet is that Dallas fans are upset. Dallas fans are very, very upset. They're very, very upset. Some of them are actually leaving. They're done with the team. They said, I'm not watching this team anymore. I'm done. And I saw a quote on a I saw a tweet on Twitter, and it says the Dallas Mavericks just showed what it's like to lose a whole generation of fans. Um, and granted, in the moment, this stuff always hurts. I've never experienced this as a fan of a team, trading like one of your guys away that you drafted and this and that. But I do feel for Dallas Mavericks fans that um, Luka was looked at as the whole future of this team to be built around for 10 years, and even if he did leave, everybody thought it would be more ceremonial. It would be more, not so much vitriol from the front office. Um, if you haven't clued in, I'll just say it right now for you. Um, they basically said, Luca, you're a fat ass, and you're never in condition. You're never in shape. Um, get off the team. That's what Dallas is essentially saying about Luca. Um, they're trying to do the whole smear campaign, which is quite typical of a team. Um, when they have him, they're like, "Oh, he's in great shape." What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And then when they trade him, they're like, "Oh yeah, he's fat." They said he is reaching anywhere up to 270 pounds, and he got to LA last night, and there's a whole video of him. There's some pictures. He looks out of shape, but he does not look 270. That man does not look 270. Let me tell you. Um, Yeah, I feel for Dallas Mavericks fans. And we'll talk about the Lakers in a second, but it's very unfortunate for them. Um, we're gonna we're gonna look at the projected starting lineup for the Mavs to end this part of the video. Um, the Dallas Mavericks' new starting five potentially would be Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, P.J. Washington, Anthony Davis, and Daniel Gafford. Um, You have three champions on this team now, which is very interesting. There's a lot of championship experience on this team. Um, Obviously, Anthony Davis wants to play the four. He believes his true um, ceiling or his best play comes when he plays the four, and I agree with that. I've always said that as well. Um, Obviously, when Derek Lively, their starting center, comes back, Daniel Gafford will be replaced with him in the starting lineup. Um, my only note of interest on this is PJ Washington cannot guard threes. I think PJ Washington is going to come off the bench eventually, and they're going to start somebody else, or they have to get somebody else because PJ is more of a small ball four. Um, I don't unless his shooting is going to really take off like it did in the playoffs last year. I don't think PJ can start at the three. I don't think he can guard threes. Um, I think he should come off the bench, and that'd be what's best. I think this could be a closing lineup, like the last 5 minutes of a game, 4 minutes of game. You could throw your five best out there, but I don't think PJ Washington should start. Um, I want to read a couple things, um, just of note, to end this Dallas part of the video. Um, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP frontrunner, was asked about the Luka Doncic trade, and he said, and I quote, "I learned that lesson the hard way in my first year in the NBA. I got traded out of the blue, didn't see it coming. It doesn't surprise me anymore than getting traded a long time ago. I found out it was a business in my first season." End quote. Um, I agree with Shea. I think this is a business, and I think this trade has really opened my eyes to the player empowerment stuff, which has been going on for the past like 2 decades essentially now. Where when players leave their team, the fans get mad, GMs get mad, but when GMs trade people away, they're looked at more favorably in most cases. In this case, Nico Harris, they, they want Nico Harris dragged through the streets of Dallas. That's what they want. Nico Harrison needs to be put on trial, is what people are saying. But I I I I believe in more player empowerment more than ever now because this is such a dirty trade for both teams. For Anthony Davis, Anthony Davis did nothing wrong. He brought LA a championship, and they still got rid of him. Granted, that was 5 years ago, but still, like we'll get into that. But I think it's dirty from both teams. Um, and I'm gonna read one more thing, and then we'll get into some other stuff here. Lakers side of it and everything. Um, I want it to be known that what kind of person Nico Harris is, on a professional level. Um, Nico Harris, um, for some context here, Steph Curry was signed with Nike when he was younger, young in the league, and then he moved to Under Armour. Nico Harrison was the guy who botched the Steph Curry presentation in 2013. Um, it was the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake in the meeting was was Harrison calling Steph Seth and spelling Stefan Stephon instead of Stefan common spelling. Um, and he just reused the presentation that he used for Kevin Durant. And yeah, like I said, Nico Harrison, um, grade A guy, grade A businessman, failing upwards. Um, and we can talk about another thing failing upwards. The Lakers will consistently fail upwards. If you're confused about what I'm saying, um, like I said in my original video, the Lakers secured the next 10, 15 years right here, with this trade, with Luka. Um, just going through the list of free agents that they've signed, or just guys they've traded for. Um, to go through the list, I believe it's Wilt, Kareem, Shaq, Pau Gasol. These are guys who they didn't draft, they traded for, and now Luka Doncic. That's their list, dating back to the 1960s. The Lakers will continuously fail upwards and will just walk into amazing trades. Um, I do want to read something what the Lakers internally were thinking about Anthony Davis when they traded him. Um, People at the Lakers doubted whether Anthony Davis could be relied on to be a 1A player moving forward. Quote, "Well, Davis has no shortage of fans within the Lakers' walls. There was some with also a strong sense that he wasn't 1A material. League sources say that they were concerned about his durability and availability and a belief that he could never truly be counted on to be a top option in the future." Um, that's what they had to say when they kicked him out of LA. Reportedly, that was via the Athletic. Um, this is just this is such a dirty business, man. It's such a dirty business. It's fun as a fan, like it's entertaining as a fan, but like I would hate to be in this line of work as a player to shake hands with some of these guys, to call them friends, to call them like coworkers, right? And then as soon as you leave, you're like, yeah, this guy, he wasn't 1A material. This guy, he was fat. He was never in shape. This guy was never healthy. Like, like, bro, just say it to my face. Like, and it's a business, right? Like, I players make their own decisions all the time, and teams make their decisions. And in the past, I've leaned more in the team's favor, especially in the NBA. But with this kind of stuff going on now, I've leaned more into the player stuff and the player empowerment, and I just think it's so dirty of the teams to just. And granted, this stuff leaks out. A lot of this stuff is never supposed to be leaked to the public. It's supposed to be all internal. It's supposed to be all like, yeah, we talked about this as a team, and people around the team talk about players like this. Um, I think Anthony Davis is a 1A player. I think he showed it in New Orleans. Now, granted, he never had the best supporting cast till like the last few years he was there, and then he started to hit his prime. But then he wanted to go to LA, and that was fine. For them to suggest that Anthony Davis isn't a 1A when they've never had the chance to build around him and put a team around him because LeBron James has been there is foolish. But for the Lakers side of stuff, I get why you would trade Davis for Luka. Like I said, I would do this deal 10 out of 10 times if I'm the Lakers. I would do it every time. I don't care about Anthony Davis. I don't care who else I have to give up. Um, and that's just a matter of the facts. Um, to touch on the Luka stuff in LA, it was reported that LeBron James will be staying with the team past the trade deadline this week. He wants to work with Luka. He's been a Luka fan. Um, he's sung Luka's praise, I think, since he's been in the league, and is also reported that the Lakers will look to move Austin Reeves. They're starting a shooting guard right now, for more center depth, um, which is great. I think that's the right thing to do. I think you kept Austin Reeves for LeBron and for AD. Now that LeBron has Luka, you don't need a guy like Austin Reeves. You don't need a guy. You don't need a lot of these other pieces. You can mostly fit and tool and do all this stuff for LeBron, but also for Luka in the future. If you can get a guy on a long-term deal, if you can get a guy on the cheap, I think it's smart, and I think it's the right thing to do. Um, but let's um let's read a quote from Lakers GM Rob Pelinka. Uh, and I quote: "Luka is one of a kind, young global superstar who will lead this franchise for years to come. His killer instinct and commitment to winning championships will be driving force for the whole team." End quote from Rob Pelinka on Luka Doncic. Um, Yeah, I think I think this team this year, unless they're not going to be able to get any real big like big name center or forward. The names I've been hearing are like Dayron Sharp, Robert Williams. Damn, I heard another one, and now I can't think of it. But they're looking for at least a serviceable center for the remainder of the season and maybe next season. Um, but I think this deal for the Lakers is just huge. Um, I can't understate it enough how dastardly of a deal this was for the Lakers. Um, and they are set. And for this season, I think the Luka and LeBron thing will work itself out. I think they'll get a good season under their belt. I think next year will be the season to really tell what they're really capable of. I think this season is sort of going to be thrown away. I think if anything, they're going to win games. It's just depending on when Luka's going to come back, and it has been reported that Luka is working his way back. He has sped up his timeline to be able to get back, possibly before All Star break. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Lakers are going to tell him to cool it. They know he wants to play, but they want him to be fully healthy. He's going to get um, he's going to get the time he needs to recover and more because the All Star break is coming up. He will get even more time to just not have to worry about playing a game, um, and just be able. And he's not even playing in the All Star game, so he's going to have loads more time to just relax, recover, and be ready post All Star weekend. And I think that's when Luka makes his debut. Um, and I think this team is going to run very small at times, even if they do get a big center, like a big like a serviceable center. And yeah, I think this will be good. I think this will be good for the Lakers. Like I said, man, I'm a Luka Doncic fan, and I guess I'm gonna have to watch Laker games now. Oh man, what a crazy weekend. I do want to read one last thing here. Um, just a comparison, and the big thing people are talking about is why um, wasn't Luka put on the market in the sense of it wasn't just a handshake deal between the Lakers and the Mavs. Why wasn't Luka put out there? Why didn't they filter more teams for more assets? From what I've heard, the Mavericks only talked to one other team, and that one other team has not come forward. So we might not ever know who it is. Um, but just for some reference here, um, the Mavericks turned 35-year-old Luka Doncic into Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first round pick. Right. Meanwhile, a few years ago, when the Nets traded Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns, they got Cam Johnson, Zaire Williams. They got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine first round picks. They got one, two, three, four second round picks, and they got two first round swaps from various teams in here. Milwaukee's in here, Phoenix is in here, New York is in here, Brooklyn got their own pick back. And they got a pick from Dallas. This is a couple years ago when Kevin Durant got traded to Phoenix. Just crazy that the Mavs just took this deal and didn't ask any other team. I think the Mavs just wanted Davis. Nobody else fits the bill but Davis to complete their team. I can see that the fit, and people are getting on to the conspiracy theory stuff of it was a handshake deal. This deal happened because the ratings are down. They want people to watch more games. Blah 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 blah. I do think it's a bit of an interesting swap between teams because this could end very poorly for both teams. It could end very poorly for the Mavs, and it could end very poorly for the Lakers. And I think it's an equal amount of worry about each of these players, Luka and Davis, both with questionable health, both with injuries throughout their career. But I think there's equal amount of what's the word? equal amount of catastrophic failure to happen. Yeah. Um, so yeah, that's the video. This is a long video, 40 minutes. Wow. If you made it this far, please like, comment, subscribe. We will talk about Tuesdays night games tomorrow, and we'll talk about the De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine trade tomorrow as well. But this Luka thing and Anthony Davis thing deserved its own video, no matter how long it was. Um, yeah, thank you guys for watching so much. This league is crazy, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. And it is trade deadline week, so keep your eyes peeled for new videos all this week. Cheers.